And maybe if they were able to concentrate on the music of my last album, they would have enjoyed it more.
Do you think Erotica got the hearing it deserved?
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
Because I think in retrospect, a lot of people look back and say, yeah, it's a really good record.
Yeah, I know, I've heard that. Thanks. Why didn't you say that 2 years ago?
Did I say something wrong? Oops, I didn't know I could talk about sex.
Erotica, Madonna's dark and sex-drenched 1992 album, was all but drowned out by the critical uproar over its accompanying photo book, The Notorious Sex.
And I think people are saying, you know, the obvious mainstream press thing is going to be, well, this new record is obviously a step back. She knows she went too far, and now she's trying to kind of be nice and do it.
Yes, well, that is the mainstream, not thought out point of view. But it's, I mean, there was no calculation, there was no, I didn't give myself a set of rules when I went in the studio and said, okay, now I have to write this kind of music, I can't offend anyone. It's just really, I think you can't write songs unless you're being honest. I don't think you can put yourself in that kind of a straitjacket creatively.
This album is a very subtle record, and it's the interweaving of voices. It's almost pointillistic, and I think people wonder sometimes, because you collaborate with people, what exactly is your input into all this? Do you show up with melodies, with lyrics?
It's different every time. I have, I keep a journal and I write in it constantly anyways, or if I'm reading something and I feel inspired, I'll jot down something, or a phrase comes to my mind and I write it down, and then I'll go in and I'll hear music and I'll elaborate on what I've written, or I'll take a poem I've written and kind of change the meter of it to fit the, you know, the music. Or sometimes music I'll have nothing in my head and I'll go in and I'll hear music and then it'll just come to me. Music.
Do you sit around and doodle on instruments or tape things?
No, I don't play any instruments. I always work with songwriter or producers that can play instruments. And
I thought you played piano or something a little bit.
Very primitively.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, you know, basic chord progressions, but I hear melodies in my head, so I usually rely on them to pound it out on the keyboard. That's how I work with Babyface anyways.
Yeah. How did you come to be involved with Babyface in Dallas and all these people? Did you have them in mind from the beginning, or were you going around trying people out?
I pretty much had a wish list of people that I really admired or had, you know, sort of had my eye on working with for some time, and Babyface in Dallas, Austin, and Nellie Hooper were at the top of that list. And then I ended up working with Dave Hall because he was a friend of a friend, and they kept saying, you know, you've got to work with this guy. I didn't really know him at all, and there were a few other people that were recommended, but songwriting is like, I mean, collaborating with anybody, it's very intimate, and it's hard. Sometimes it doesn't work with people, and you get in a room and you don't feel comfortable, or so I went through a few of those, and
discarded a few people.
Yeah, kicked them right out.
How did your connection with Björk come up? Where did this song come from?
That came from working with Nellie. Nellie did her album, and actually one of the reasons I was dying to work with Nellie Hooper was because of Björk's album. I thought it was amazing.
Let's get unconscious, honey. Let's get unconscious.
Seems to be a different you in a way. I mean, if you just romance.
Well, every year it's a different me.
But has romance come into your life? Is there? I think we were reading something about.
Well, I mean, romance has always been in my life. I mean, well, that sounds really immodest, doesn't it?
Fortunate. Sounds
no,
fortunate.
but it's not like I just discovered romance. I mean, I've been writing. I mean, when you listen to, there's romantic songs on all of my records. Rain is a romantic song. Live to Tell is a romantic song. I've always written romantic songs. People got so caught up in the eroticism aspect of what I was exploring and getting into and writing about that I think now that I've come up with this record, and all of a sudden everyone's saying, oh, she's changed so much, she's a different person, and I'm more experienced, I'm older and wiser, but I think romances have been a big part of everything that I've written.
There's kind of a sweetness to some of the songs on the record, too. That was
Or
like,
bittersweetness.
I meant
Yeah.
to say a bittersweetness.
Yeah.
But is there a guy in your life who's
Oh,
changed things?
getting to the really important question.
This is the important thing.
Actually, the songs are about a lot of different.
Guys?
Well, not just men. I mean, Inside of Me sounds like it's a love song, but it's actually about my mother. You know, I tend to collect thoughts and as I go through life, and a lot of times it takes me a long time before I can come to terms with maybe a relationship I had years ago. You know what I mean? And I finally found a way to talk about it or write about it. So it's not even necessarily something that was happening to me currently,
Yeah.
but my reflection on something that happened.
Inside of Me being about your mother, it's interesting. Being from a family that has breast cancer in it must be a haunting thing, I would imagine. Is it?
Absolutely. I mean, my mother died when she was very young, and, you know, when I got to be, she was 31 years old, and when I got to be, I mean, my whole life was about you know, 31. When I get to be that age, is that going to be my death sentence? Is that what's going to happen to me? And when I finally, like, passed that age and I was still alive, I can sort of breathe again.
In secret, the video is Madonna in the company of many, many black people. Is that a typical night out for you? Do you go to clubs in Harlem or?
I do, actually, but one of the reasons I shot it in Harlem is because I thought that, I mean, I think people traditionally think of Harlem as being this ghetto where everybody's, like, sad and people are full of despair and there's no hope. And I walk down the streets, I mean, 125th Street in Lenox, and I see beautiful, beautiful people and beautiful children playing on the streets, and I see incredible, beautiful brownstones. I mean, that is a beautiful part of Manhattan, and I discovered a lot of beauty there, and I thought, since the song is about discovering a secret, that I liked combining that.
Just before starting work on bedtime stories, with much public consternation still lingering from her sex book escapade, Madonna made a raucous appearance on the David Letterman show.
You were on his show saying all these
Bad words?
bad words.
Yes, I know, but it was a performance.
Incidentally, you are a sick. I don't know why I get so much.
You realize this is being broadcast, don't you?
It wasn't a real argument between us, and
Was Dave aware of this?
he knew the gist of what was going to happen. Is that a rug?
You're talking about my hair. Right, well, all right, what is that, a swim cap? What are you wearing? What Come on, let's go. Here we go.
It was like a snowball, you know? I mean, it was like everybody freaked out about it, and then I think Dave freaked out about it a little bit. But you know what? Dave was never, you know, I called him up to, when they asked me to do the MTV Awards, I said, well, you know, who do you want to do it with? And I couldn't think of anybody. It's like, I thought, if I come out with anyone, there's got to be some kind of symbolism. It's got, like, who do I want to join forces with? Who do I want to, you know, represent myself with? And I thought, wouldn't it be great to come out with David Letterman? Because everyone thinks we're in this, like, huge world war. And so I called him up and asked him. And I said, Dave, are you ready to bury the hatchet? He goes, there is no hatchet.
I'll be in the car. Just watch your language.
He was very agreeable and actually so nervous. It was really touching.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he was green. And he was so sweet, the way he was gripping my arm as we walked out on the stage. But, you know, I have to say I adore him. I know that sounds completely perverse, but I do. I'll never explain again. My
What have you made of Rhonda since you've been here? This is a deeply Catholic region of the
This is
country.
a deeply beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. But it's one of the oldest cities in the world. And there's no McDonald's, there's no 7-Eleven. And I'm just enjoying that. It's just, we were in a house yesterday, it's 500 years old. And it's so beautiful. So I love it here.
Okay, here we go. Action. Go, 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 go.